Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach. As always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
Hola.
Hola. And joined via Zoom, we have a very special guest today, Mr. Kevin L. Johnson. What is up, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Oh, we thank you so much for coming on. We are a small, humble podcast, and it's really special to have people like yourself who are willing to take time out of your day to talk to us nerdy idiots. So we do appreciate you. Kevin is a actor who is in the current seasons of Ozark and Stranger Things season 4 as well, which is I think breaking all sorts of records for most streamed Netflix original show. And you've been in some other stuff too, which we'll get into in a little bit. But we are super excited to have you. We'll get some of our business stuff out of the way. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Click the little button down on the YouTubes or whatever. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. And if you want to become a patron of the show, check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Help support the show and get us things like new cameras, lights, mixers, things like that. So we do appreciate that. Cool. Well, we like to start the show with a little segment we call Nerdy Confessions, where we confess the things that make us nerds. Christian, why don't you lead us off?
So my nerdy confession is the fiance, she likes to watch a lot of reality TV, and yeah, I know.
Gross.
When she does, I usually I'll go play video games, I'll go do something else, get on my phone, whatever. And then was just on the couch, just kind of just on my phone, just going through Twitter, and she was watching tattoo show
Inked,
yeah, with with what's his name,
Dave Navarro.
Yes. And I was caught myself just kind of half paying attention, and then she switched to something else. I was like, oh no, wait,
I want to see what happens.
I want to see how that art turned out.
That's how they get you, Christian.
I was like, wait, I want to see. Go ahead. And now I'm watching it. I keep telling myself as a failed artist, this is why I'm watching. Yeah. It's like, oh, I just want to see the artwork, but I'd be fucking lying if I said I don't stay for the drama.
You're into the drama.
And it's, I suspect, there's always a douchebag in there, and he won't be great at tattooing, but man, does he stick around for a while.
He's entertaining.
And that's why I'm like, dude, they're keeping him on clearly because, he's irritating everyone else.
Right.
And it's part of me is I want to see this guy go and fail. Part is but he's not going to be there creating the tension. So, so I'm I end up wanting them to stay.
That's how they suck you back in. Yeah.
But man, I'm not going to lie, it's entertaining.
Yeah. There's very few reality TV shows that I've kind of fallen into. I like ones where they're making something, it's not really, I guess it's not really a reality show, but I like that Worm Life YouTube show where it's all about their wood shop.
Wormwood?
Yeah, Wormwood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I like that kind of stuff because I like, arts and crafts and stuff. But yeah, I've never been into Love Island. I know is very popular. Love on the Spectrum is another very popular.
Finished Love on the Spectrum. Love on the Spectrum.
You like that one too?
I got sucked into it's actually really good. It's heartwarming. It's not one of those
it's a feel good.
It's a feel good one.
Right. Yeah.
So that one I did enjoy.
Kevin, are you a reality TV aficionado?
I used to watch reality TV, I think back in college, The Real World, when that was getting big again. I think they did Real World New York and Real World Vegas and Real World California or Los Angeles.
Sure.
And I like wrestling.
Oh yeah.
So when I got into, I was a wrestling fan back in high school and then kind of got out of it.
Yeah.
And now I like it again. It's very nostalgic.
Yeah.
My buddies, one of my buddies who I do CrossFit with, we used to work at a restaurant together, and we have another buddy, and they used to bartend, and we go to all the wrestling shows, and
that's awesome
when they're in town here. But The Miz, I was like, holy cow, The Miz was on The Real World.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
And now he's this huge wrestler.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
This is not wrestling related necessarily, but one of my best friends from high school's name is Cody Rhodes, and so I keep
American Nightmare.
Yeah. So I keep telling him, I'm like, I'm gonna buy you a shirt. He's like, no, it was my name first. I'm like, I don't know. I think he's like that. He's not the coolest Cody.
It's like the show, the movie The Office or Office Space.
Yeah,
his name is Michael Bolton.
Right, exactly.
I think I'd take Cody Rhodes over Michael Bolton.
Yeah. Another fun wrestling thing. My dad, who looks very much like me with the beard and everything, but more gray hairs. At least for now, we'll see what happens.
It's definitely, it's like looking at like the multiverse.
Yeah,
Like we see like Cody, like young Cody and an older Cody.
Yeah, but he went into the bank one time, and some guy went up to him. He's like, "Hey, you're Mick Foley," and my dad's like, "What?"
Oh.
And he's like, "You're Mick Foley, the wrestler," and my dad's like, "No, I don't know who that is," and the guy's like, right. All right, you have a good day, sir.
It's like, don't mandible claw me or anything.
Yeah, that's so funny. And so I told my dad who Mick Foley was.
He should have ran with it.
I know, well, he does. My dad knows nothing about wrestling. Like, I think, if I mention wrestling, he'll be like, "Oh, like Hulk Hogan." I'll be like, "Yes, Dad, like Hulk Hogan." That's his one wrestling reference he gets.
I do have a cool story about Becky Lynch.
Okay.
She's so she was on the show Billions one time, and I love that show. And so I posted on Twitter. I was like, "Hey, Jason, Batemen." I was like, "Hey, we need to get Becky Lynch on Ozark." She saw that I posted that, and she was like, "Send for the man anytime." And then she followed me back on social media, and like now we're friends.
Oh,
like
that's
we,
the best.
we chat every now and then. So yeah, she's a cool person. We haven't gotten to meet in person yet.
Yeah.
She got me and my two buddies tickets to day one on January 1st.
Oh, okay.
But because of COVID, it was really hard to get backstage and meet.
Right.
But I sent her Seth Rollins and their baby girl like some Ozark like Ozark shirts,
merch and
so
stuff.
I mailed them some stuff. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so
crazy,
that's so cool.
story.
They seem like we forget like they're these larger than life personalities, but I'm sure they, like anyone else, they love meeting fellow fans and because they're fans of wrestling too at the end of the day, right?
So when are you making your wrestling debut? When are you going to jump in? Gonna jump in the ring.
Well, I guess I'll have to ask Becky about that.
Yeah.
So, hey, so what do you think?
Yeah, get one of those cameo things. That'd be
all right.
great.
So what would be your wrestling name and your finishing move?
Ooh,
or your specialty move?
Good. That's a good question.
Oh wow. Holy cow. Oh man.
We'll give you some time. We'll give you some time to think about it.
Yeah, that was.
I'll do my nerdy confession, and then you can come up with your wrestling thing. My nerdy confession this week is so as we all know, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is streaming on Disney Plus right now, and
I haven't watched the latest episode yet, though.
Okay, this will not be. We won't spoil anything, but I'll say this. So I watched this week's episode last night, very late at night, and it had a scene in it that made me fall in love with Star Wars all over again.
Okay.
And
I'll ask you after the show.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We don't want to ruin it for Kevin. So, but it's one of those things where, every once in a while there's like Mandalorian has some of that in it, and Rogue One had that scene at the end.
Oh, I know what you're talking about that.
Right. And it was so amazing. And the show, it started off kind of slow, and some people love it, some people don't love it. But man, last night's episode, you're in for a treat when you watch it because it was fantastic. I was just sitting alone in my room watching. I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted.
Do you have to be like a diehard? I mean, because I love Star Wars. I'll watch it, but I don't know a ton about it.
No,
is it like this is Easter egg that I would need to know. Like,
no.
Stuff?
This is featuring some well-established characters and just some good old-fashioned Star Wars action.
Okay.
So yeah, it was amazing. All right. So did you have an idea of what your at least what your wrestling persona would be?
If not, we can go with your nerdy confession first.
Yeah, either one's fine.
Oh man. Let's go with nerdy confession.
There you go.
So I was a huge comic book collector when I was younger.
Nice.
I loved Witchblade.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Witchblade was good.
Yeah, probably because you're young.
You're a young boy.
And,
it's the closest thing to porn you can get.
It was pretty risque.
Oh, 100%.
Risque. But I had the number one Witchblade.
Oh, nice.
I had the number one Spawn.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
At one point. And then I had Fathom. I remember cassettes.
Yeah.
Who was it that did Witchblade?
The writer? Or
he passed away. I can't. Not Straczynski.
I don't know. I was never a big Witchblade fan.
Use your freaking phone in front of you.
Trying to look like professional Cody.
Michael Turner. I'm pretty sure that's who it is. Let's see if
that sounds familiar because I went to like a Comic-Con in Charlotte when I was younger, and I think it was the first, it was when Fathom first came out. I don't even know if the comic book is around anymore, to be honest with you, but I think it was his new comic book.
Yeah, I think it was his signed. Fathom was like his personal project, so I don't know if it continued after he passed away or not.
So writer Brian Harberlin and Christina Z. Artist was Michael Turner.
Michael Turner, the artist. Yeah.
So you don't collect anymore?
No, I did. I had the action figures too. I put I stapled or I can't remember if I taped or nailed the action figures on my wall, the Spawn character from the movie.
Yeah.
And then I did, Witchblade. I collected the Ren and Stimpy comic books.
Oh my God. Ren and Stimpy is amazing. And it was one of those shows that I would watch at my Uncle Rich's house that I couldn't tell my parents that he let me watch.
That show was that was risque.
I don't know how Nickelodeon got away with it.
Yeah, I have no idea. It was before they would have it on late night.
Yeah.
And then no one would know how crazy
I just remember as a kid there was a scene where Powdered Toast Man and there was a girl
Powdered Toast.
And then he was roasting a marshmallow and it was melting and she was roasting a weenie and it was totally phallic and I was just watching it as a kid and I'm like, there's something messed up here. I don't know what it is, but there's something definitely not right with this.
Yeah.
There's some fucking high producers at Nickelodeon. They're just you know what? I'm just going to see if we can roll with this and see if anybody says anything.
Yeah, we'll see what...
Yeah, Disney was like, let's try to hide the penises in the background. Nickelodeon's like, nah, we're just going to show you the penis right there.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to show you, butts and,
and,
it's just...
Ren was definitely on some... Or Stimpy. Stimpy was definitely... They were both on drugs, obviously. They're, all, crazed and running around and stuff. It was...
The 90s was wild.
90s were wild.
Man, crazy. And then Rocko's Modern Life was kind of like it. I mean, it wasn't
quite
as... a little more kid-like, but...
Yeah, but still very out there and strange, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, cool. We're going to take a quick little break, and then when we get back, we're going to talk more with Kevin here and ask him about some of his acting adventures. So we'll be right back. And we're back. See, it was a short break for us, but it was a long commercial break for our listeners.
Little movie magic.
Yeah, exactly. You know all about that. We'll edit that in post.
It's just like on talk shows, where it looks like they're talking to somebody.
Yeah, we'll lean over and talk to Christian when it's muted.
Come on, Stephen Colbert. You know that you're
exactly.
not going to a commercial for 5 minutes. Come on now.
Right, exactly. Well, Cool. So let's start from the beginning with you. And how did you get into acting? Were you in drama as a kid, and always had the bug, or was it something you kind of approached a little bit later?
I would say I got into it in college. I went in, like, my undergrad was a computer science major,
Oh, nice.
and because I was a big video game guy, I was like, you know what, I'll make video games. How hard can that be?
Yeah.
Turns
Apparently
out really hard.
very difficult.
Really, really, really difficult. For one thing, you gotta know how to do code. Shocker.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got to college, and I took some computer programming classes and realized I'm already having to ask for help. I'm not going to be making the next Last of Us game. That's
right.
So it's
you might be able to play
or
be a character in Last of Us.
That's
now,
true.
Right?
Yeah, love the game. I would love to be in the TV show, which we can talk about later for sure.
Nice. Absolutely.
But yeah, so I switched to an English major and minored in advertising, like the following semester, because I was just like, I got to do something different.
Sure.
So my first English class was I think it was called English 110, and the big project of the semester was we had to go see the main play of the semester and write about it. So I was like, okay. And I had seen plays before in high school, but in high school, when you get to go see a production, it's like, oh, sweet, 2.5 hours of being out of class.
Right.
Nice. Okay. And nobody's paying attention to the show. But it's a lot different when you see it like on a grander scale. So
sure.
When I got to be in a big theater and watch, it was a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, was what the musical was called. And it was a comedy. It was a lot of fun. I was like, man, everybody's laughing, having a good time in the audiences. I kind of want to be a part of that. That looks really cool. So the next day, the cast, and they were students too. They had like a little Q&A for anybody who wanted to come and talk to them. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. I get to meet the cast, like almost like celebrities.
Yeah.
And they were students. And I was like, I was asking questions like, so how do I, get involved in this? Like, how do I get started? And they told me that the next play that was coming up and when the auditions were going to be. And that was good. That was the Heidi Chronicles was the next play. And It was going to be in the Black Box Theater, so smaller theater. And so I checked out the play at the library, read it, and went to the audition. It was like what they call a cold read, so you don't know what your sides are going to be until you get there.
Right.
And my memory sucks too, so it was I still suck at cold reads. Like, you have to have a good memory. It's a different skill.
Right. Absolutely.
So so most of the time in that audition, I was just looking down, and and it's you're not getting anything out of the person if they're looking down at the paper the whole time. But this was all new to me, so I didn't get a call back or anything like that. So I asked the director. I was like, I mean, is there any way I could be a part of this somehow? I mean, I know I didn't get cast, but is there any way I can help out?
Yeah, contribute in some way.
Yeah, and he goes, well, we need people running tech, behind the, backstage.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah, count me in. So I was all like eager to do it, and I met a lot of good people that way. I met one of my best friends when he was doing that show. And I told him, actually, in the audition, I didn't audition with him, but I saw him audition. And I was like, Grayson, did I ever tell you you were kind of a dick when I met you the first time. But he totally grew on me. Like when I got to know him, like during the run of the show, he was such a cool dude.
Yeah.
And he's one of my biggest fans, always supports me in my career, and same to him because he's doing his thing in New York.
Nice.
But yeah, I did stage work on that, which is its own kind of show, really, because
yeah, I actually did that in high school. Yeah. I was one of the spotlight operators, which was like the coolest job because, you know, you stand up there with this giant thing and you got to make sure your aim's on and stuff. And got to know when people are entering and exiting the stage and stuff.
I don't know if I would trust you with that. You'd probably do
I don't know why they trusted me with it, but.
Yeah, I don't think they would have trusted me to do that my first time. I was one of the guys who was regulated to, like, bring the new, what do you call it, like props and
like
things.
Scenery and stuff.
Yeah, scenery. While the lights were down and you only had so much time, so it was kind of its own show. Like, you know, like, oh right, we got to do it. Yeah, we did this in great time, guys. Awesome, and we feel like awesome about it afterwards.
Right.
Like it's our own little show.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a lot of fun, and getting to watch how the cast, you know, kind of got like in the zone, like jacked up, ready to go for the show. So that was a lot of fun. And then I said after the run, I was like, all right, I want to get in the next production. I want to be part of that.
Right.
It looks really fun. And, you know, it's like a family. So the next play was going to be a musical, and it was what was it called? It was called Burial at Thebes, which was based on Antigone, the Greek mythology. And it was going to be a musical, and I didn't know that I'm not a professional singer, but I realized that I had the ability to sing at one point in college. At this point, I did not know that. So I was like, man, I can't sing. But there was a couple parts that didn't involve singing.
Sure.
So, and I was taking a Shakespeare class at the time because we had to find a monologue.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, we're reading Richard III right now.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'll just choose. Yeah, so I'll do the first monologue of the play. Now is the winter of our discontent.
Right.
And of course, one of the hardest monologues, really.
To
do.
Shakespeare in general, you know, is just so unnatural. I was an English major in college as well, cool. And it was like anytime we had to study Shakespeare, like the stories were very cool, but getting through how they talked and wrote back then, it's so unnatural. Yeah. So it's, you know, especially, you know, you say you don't have very good memories. It's like trying to memorize something that is in another language almost. It's tough.
Yeah. Prose and verse.
I know.
It's some scary shit, that's for sure. If you can tackle Shakespeare and Chekhov, then you're in a good you're in a good space.
And I mean, it's funny because speaking of memorization, like to this day, I still remember parts of like Romeo and Juliet, you know, because I think I played like Mercutio or someone like that. And it was like, do you bite your thumb at me? Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? No, but I do bite my thumb, sir. And it's like you got this memorized back and forth because you really had to like drill down and remember all of it.
I never read any Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Oh,
never.
God. Well, it's okay. You've done okay.
I've gotten this far. English is my second language, man. So you know, I'm proud of myself for gotten this far.
Yeah, there you go.
So I did the Richard III monologue for the audition, and got a call back.
Nice.
And then, you know, they gave me dialogue from the play, and then I got the role as I think it was Comical Guard.
Nice.
What the character's name was.
Comical Guard.
Comical Guard. And it was cool because we kind of broke the fourth wall, and we had a ramp going down the middle of the aisles.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, and comical guard is I bring in Antigone because she's I arrested her and I'm bringing her to Creon
Gotcha.
because she's supposed to go to jail because she, I think, did something with her brother's ashes and she wasn't supposed to because he was a traitor.
Right.
And that was kind of the deal of the story. But my brain, when I saw that ramp, was like, oh, shit. That's like wrestling. That's awesome. So it was like full circle, man.
Yeah, exactly. So the fireworks are going to shoot out of the sides.
Yeah. I felt like the Rock or Stone Cold, coming down the ramp in scene 2 or whenever it was that I appeared.
That's awesome.
So your wrestling debut, you got to play one of the heels, huh? You just came in like the villain, just bringing in.
Exactly.
Couldn't help but look at the crowd as you go by because it was a really killer ramp they made.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I was impressed.
That's a cool idea too. Yeah. I think, getting the audience more immersed in the production is, it's one of those things that makes, any sort of live theater even better. Like there was just the, what was it called? The Phantom of the Opera. I forget which production it was, but they had a chandelier that would lower over the crowd and stuff. And it was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
So how do you get from there to now, acting alongside
Jason
Batemen and two of the most famous Toms in the world, Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks.
They come and they saw me in the production.
There it was.
No, I'm just kidding.
They're like, comical guard. He needs
that guy.
Just happened to be there. Perfect. So after I graduated, I was like, a lot of people were going to Chicago.
Sure.
So that was the plan to, do stage work in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I was calling restaurants, I was like, hey, I'm going to be moving there, in so-and-so months.
Right.
Can I fill out an application online? But I realized that this was going to be, I didn't have a place. I didn't know where I was going to stay.
Right.
I didn't have money to move. How was I going to do this? It just didn't, it wasn't feasible. So I called my dad and I was like, Dad, I think I'm going to move back home after college. And just, try to get situated and see where I go from there. And I remember when I told him I wanted to be an actor, he was like, well, that's great, but I'm not paying for you.
That's a good dad answer.
I was like, Dad, you're not got to pay for me, I promise you.
Yeah.
Now, he helped me along the way, believe me.
Sure.
But I was like, give me 10 years. I know it sounds like a long time, but I think that's, there's a book called The Outliers, the 10,000 hour rule.
Okay.
And once you do something for 10,000 hours, you're a professional. So if I ever do that, if I ever pick up that guitar, I'm not done with hour 1, but
right.
if I go 10,000 hours, I'll be a professional.
You got a ways to go. Yeah. I might have put 10,000 hours on a guitar by now.
I believe it.
It's been a while.
Oh, I'm sure.
I still don't know. No one pays me for it, so I don't know how professional I am, but I have a good time.
It's a lot of hours when you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I told my dad, I was like, give me 10 years, and so I moved back home. I got headshots done, got an agent, which was hard to do. I didn't think I was going to find one.
Sure.
And I sent my resume, which was mainly plays from college, and in my reel, I did a film in college. It never got made. It was about the 70s, but I had footage from it.
Sure.
So I sent that to him, and I think it was a month, maybe a couple weeks go by, and I haven't heard anything. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be really difficult. and then he calls me out of the blue, leaves a message, and says he's interested in signing me. And this is in the Southeast, like a Southeast agent.
Sure.
Who I still have to this day.
Awesome.
He's my Southeast agent. And this is back, like, I signed with him when MapQuest was a thing. So I had to go. I was bad
print it out
too.
Yeah, you print out the directions and highlight the turns and stuff.
Yeah. And so I had to go meet him at his place, which is the only time I've ever actually met him. And he told me that when I met him, he's like, "This is probably the only time you're actually going to see me."
Interesting.
And he was right. Yeah.
You seriously, you have not seen him since?
No, I mean, I've seen pictures of him, but
yeah.
Until I heard his voice, I probably wouldn't know if he walked up to me. I'd be like, "Oh shit, Rusty, what's up, man?"
Yeah. That's crazy.
It'd be crazy.
I mean, I guess in today's day and age, like, or, you know, even back then when you were getting started, like that, as long as he's doing the job and making the connections and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you don't really need a face-to-face, but it is crazy to think.
I don't know. My only knowledge I have is from Entourage, and they hung out with their agents all the time. So I was just like, that's my reference point. I was like,
yeah, you weren't going to parties and stuff with
I
him?
thought that's how it happened. I don't know.
Nah, Rusty Wiggs wasn't going to parties with me.
Yeah.
But he lived a couple hours away. So
Sure.
It would have been kind of difficult. Like if I was in town, you know, if I went there.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably like grab lunch or something, but yeah, it's never happened. I mean, I'll chat with him on the phone. He's a great guy. He's one of my friends.
Yeah.
And he says like I'm kind of like his family because I've been with him.
Yeah. And he's doing a good job too.
2008.
He's gotten you into some good projects and stuff too. So, you know,
yeah,
Rusty's a good one.
I wouldn't be here without him. So
yeah.
Shout out to Rusty.
The audition. Yeah, love you, Rusty.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Where's I going with that? Oh yeah. So I got the agent, and then my first audition was a North Carolina education lottery commercial.
Nice. Gotta sell some lottery tickets.
Yeah, and American Idol was a big thing at the time.
Sure.
So they were doing a parody of American Idol.
Nice.
And I was auditioning to be the next Powerball. So that was kind of the gimmick. And they had like people who looked like Simon Cowell, Randy, Paula.
Yeah.
Like they had lookalikes.
That's awesome.
So, but I was a cube wanting to be the next Powerball.
You know, that's actually pretty funny. Like,
yeah,
that's a clever commercial.
And it was like acting. It was like meta almost because it was my first audition with a casting director who I'd never been in front of a casting director before, and the audition itself is an audition. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You're auditioning to play someone auditioning something else.
That seems really how do you fail that? You know, like you're not acting like you're trying to get this point.
Right.
You fail that if you overdo it.
Right. Exactly.
So I have been taking acting classes, and I've always been taught you dance with the date that brought you.
Yeah.
So I was just excited that I was getting to have my first audition. So how would Kevin feel? Who cares if he's dressed up as a cube like on the day when we shoot it? Sure. But right now, I'm just happy to be in the room.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not aware that there's anything wrong with being a cube and wanting to be the next Powerball.
Right.
So my audition was like this happy-go-lucky guy who goes in, and I don't even think I had a line really. I think it was just he was like Simon Cowell he goes, "You're a cube," and I just look up and I go, and then I look at him and I go,
yeah,
and then like next, and I walk out, and as I'm looking at him still,
yeah, like sidestepping with the cube thing.
And I think I still have it on my Actors Access page. But yeah, that was my first, and I booked it.
Nice.
So I booked something like right out the gate, and it was like $500. I was super ecstatic.
Yeah.
But it was non-union, so you don't get paid until they pay you.
Right.
They don't have to pay you within like 2 weeks.
Oh, I
so
gotcha.
it took like 90 days to get a $500 check. But I was like on top of the world thinking this was awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was the first thing. And then I auditioned for the show Army Wives a ton of times when that was on.
Oh, okay.
I booked my first SAG job was a Burger King spot with Tony Stewart, where he was pretending like he worked there. But it was, I mean, the commercial makes it look like the customers don't know who it is, but
right.
Yeah, no,
it's Tony Stewart. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, they know it's the customers aren't actual customers.
Right.
So
exactly.
You know, you had to audition to be a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was super happy when I booked that, and then I got residuals for it, so that was cool.
Ooh,
awesome. You make good money on like a commercial,
right?
With residuals.
Well, you think about it too.
It's playing all the time, you know. It's playing somewhere.
But not only that, there are people who like we know them as commercial people, like Flo from Progressive.
Oh, that's true,
right? It's weird seeing her in other stuff.
I don't remember her name, but I loved her in the werewolf movie, the AT&T.
The AT&T girl. Yeah. I forget what her name is.
Yeah. She's a great actor. Yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the werewolf movie, but it was great, and I was like, "Oh, she can act." I was like, and she's hilarious. Like
Werewolves Within.
Yes.
Nice.
Directed by Josh Rubin. Yeah, that was a really good movie.
Yeah.
It was underrated. It was good.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, you know, and she was great in it too. You know, I love finding those little movies that maybe don't get enough attention, but are just like solid.
Yeah,
ones, you know?
It was great.
He's a good director. I think he's got some good stuff on the way, I'm sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I know you had auditioned for The Walking Dead, but I'm curious to what part you were going for The Walking Dead.
Well, I mean, I auditioned a number of times, like during the show.
Gotcha. You just
wanted
to be part of it.
Dead.
You just wanted to be. So there wasn't like a specific part. You were just going to see if like you can land anything.
Well, I mean, if it was a good audition, I would audition. Yeah.
Nice.
It's tough to get on those shows, man.
Oh,
really
for sure. So now let's talk. I think, you know, probably two of the more recent things that people know you from are Ozark and Stranger Things. Now is probably the newest one. Let's talk about Ozark.
What is Stranger Things? I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, to the people listening, it's this little indie show on this small little streaming network.
It's like the most streamed show in the world right now. But so how did Ozark come about? Because now you're a pretty established part of that show. And was that just like another audition that you just like happened to land, or did you know someone involved in the production? How'd that one go for you?
Well, I got the audition back in like what was it? 2016.
Yeah.
When it was just coming out, my agent Rusty got me the audition, and I saw the breakdown. Sam Dermody, real estate agent, has a dog, loves peanut butter, something like that. Affable guy.
All the key character traits.
Yeah, and so I did. I think it was like 3 scenes that I had to do for the audition. So I taped them, felt really good about it, sent it in, and a couple weeks go by. I asked my manager that I had at the time. I was like, "Hey, do you know any info on Ozark? Anything from casting about that?" And she found out that they were going to go with somebody older for the role.
Oh.
So I was like, all right, well, you know, this isn't my first rodeo. Like, I've been told no plenty of times, both by casting and by women. It's all good. happens all the time.
Yeah.
but then I was driving. I lived in Atlanta at this time. I moved to Atlanta in like 2015.
Gotcha.
So I was driving back to Charlotte, where I used to live, for a callback for a short film. And Rusty, my agent, he calls me while I'm driving, and he's like, "Hey, they want to book you for Ozark."
Oh.
And I said, well, I thought they were going to go with somebody older. And he goes, "Well, what can I tell you, man? They want to book you." I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
So, and this was my first, like, recurring role.
Sure.
Like a meaty recurring role.
Right.
By just what I was given for the audition, I was pretty excited about it. Now, I got on, so we did the table read like a number of weeks later, and that's where I got to meet Laura Linney,
Nice.
Jason Bateman, Julia Garner, the rest of the entire cast.
Right.
And kind of got the jitters out of the way because I was a huge Laura Linney and Jason Bateman fan.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good to get the jitters out of the way. And then I got on set, and the first scene that we shot was my very first scene in episode 2, season 1, where Wendy shows up at the real estate office, and she thinks something else is going on. When I lean my chair back, she, thinks I'm getting something, like either I'm watching porn or I'm getting a blowjob.
Right, exactly.
And then she sees the dog, because I stand up and the dog shows up,
right,
and is licking my toes. There's still people to this day that think the dog was doing something else.
Right.
And I'm like, come on,
yeah.
man. How could you ever root for a character knowing that?
Right.
They would have killed me off in season 1 had I been the guy who
Yeah.
had his dog lick peanut butter off his dick or something. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
exactly.
Like, that's not what happens.
So did you know, or did you have a feeling like the show was going to be as big as it got, or you were just kind of like just went for it, like, hey, let's see what it's going to be?
I had a feeling it was going to be a big show. I was a big fan of the movie The Accountant.
Oh, yes.
That Bill Dubuque did. I loved his style. And he was the one that created Ozark, because he would go like to the Ozarks when he was younger with his family, and that's how he came up with the idea.
Right.
But I had a feeling like Laura Linney being attached, Jason Bateman, the scripts were fucking awesome, like just gritty. And when I was watching the playback, I just had this feeling that the show was going to be a success. And maybe it was my naivete, but I was excited to think, because I had a feeling that my character could stick around.
Sure.
And I remember like the second day on set, I was back at Video Village, like watching playback, and one of the executive producers, writers, is like sitting behind me, and she introduces herself to me and says that she's writing episode 7, and it's a scene with me and my mom. So I'm just like, oh, so we're gonna meet.
So I'm back.
Mom. Okay.
Yeah.
So the world is growing, and I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was a blessing that they just kept writing me in each season and giving me cool story arcs and love interest and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So let me ask you one Jason Bateman question, because I'm a huge Jason Bateman fan. Like, from Arrested Development is one of my favorite shows of all time. Does he have that dry humor in person? That, like, does he ever turn it off, or is that just him acting constantly?
No, that's Jason.
That's just a sense of humor.
Yeah. He's such a cool dude, so down to earth, such a nice guy, and he was such a great boss to have for 4 seasons.
And I'll say this too, he is a very good actor, because he's done quite a bit of comedy stuff. He plays kind of the straight guy in a comedy show, but like something like Ozark, it's yes, there are little moments of comedy and stuff, but it's a very serious show too. And I think he definitely fits into that well too.
I think people usually, when they think of him, they think of him as like the funny guy. But
Right.
then you got shows like The Outsider too, and which I think he directed a couple episodes of that too.
He directed a couple.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's like, he's got range, but like you said, most people will think of him as a
kind of the straight guy in a comedy show or
It's
something.
gone a long way since Teen Wolf 2, man.
Teen Wolf 2.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
man, his range is crazy. Like have you ever seen the movie The Gift?
Yes.
With the neighbor.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, complete like a twist. Like he was like a bully.
Right.
And it was just like, whoa.
Yeah, I know. And it's like,
awesome.
and I think that's that's a good actor is when they can swap roles like that instantly and still make it believable. It's not like, trying to make, someone like Mike Myers into something like serial killer or
like
something.
An action hero or something.
Or an action hero. Yeah, exactly. I'd watch that movie. I mean, but I don't know. I know it wouldn't be for everybody. So I mentioned earlier too, you've also worked on, what was it? The what's it called? The Tom Cruise movie.
American Made.
American Made. I was going to say Made in America, but that's a different movie. So American Made, and then also you had a part in the Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood, the Tom Hanks.
I shot some stuff for it. I didn't make it in the movie.
Gotcha. But
we did a sing. Yeah, I wasn't on set when Tom Hanks was there.
Gotcha. I was going to ask which was your favorite Tom. So I guess we'll have to assume it's Tom Cruise then, because why wouldn't he be?
Did he invite you to any Scientology stuff, or you didn't get an invite?
He did not ask me anything about like, hey, so what's your religion?
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't.
None of that.
Yeah, he was a cool dude though. And my stuff didn't make it into that movie either.
Yeah, that's.
We shot a scene and have you seen American Made?
I watched it back when it came out. Though as big a Tom Cruise fan as I am, I don't remember that one as much as like your Top Guns and Mission Impossibles. But I remember it was a fun show or a movie. I mean.
Yeah, it was like the scene that I did ended up being they turned it into like a montage where he's like leaving the hotels or the motels.
Yeah. I
think around the end of the movie. But what we shot was I was an IRS agent and I'm coming to audit him.
Right.
And he's like loading stuff in his car. I think we did one at the trunk of the car and then we did one at the door in the motel. And unfortunately, neither one of them made it into the.
That's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, you still, were there with Tom Cruise, which is awesome.
Uh-huh.
Now, so
it's on my resume, opposite Tom Cruise for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let me ask you this: of all the other Toms in Hollywood, who would be the one you would want to work with the most? Like we got Tom Holland, Spider-Man. Tom Hiddleston, Loki from Marvel's Thor, Tom Hardy, Venom, various other things, or Tom Hanks for that matter. Because you weren't on there with the same time.
I would go. I'm going to go Tom Hanks since I didn't actually get to meet him, and his range is insane, and it'd be awesome to be in any scene with him.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Tom Holland, Tom Hardy, they're all good too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Also, if you act with one of those guys, odds are you're in the MCU, and that's its own monster, So that would be cool too. So let's talk
from your lips to God's ears. Man.
Yeah, man. We got to put it out there.
People who listen to us know like Disney definitely and Marvel listen. We've definitely thrown out some ideas that ended up happening. So who knows? Maybe it's going to happen.
We're pretty sure that Kevin Feige is like one of our biggest fans. He won't sign up for the Patreon.
Not yet,
because he doesn't want it out there. But we've called a lot of things that have happened in Marvel movies like years before they before they came out. We even we said, hey, we think that the next Marvel movie, that one of the ones that they should work on is Blade.
So I called the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, I think the next thing they should work on is Blade.
They
the
should
Marvel
bring
Universe
Blade.
should bring vampires, and then this guy actually called out the actor.
I was like, yeah, Marshall Ali would be awesome as Blade.
Oh,
And then
he's gonna be great.
that week we went to San Diego Comic-Con, and they announced they brought him out and announced the movie and him as Blade. And we were both there in the audience.
I feel like
We're
some listeners don't believe us that we called, because we recorded it a week before it happened, but then we put out the episode a week later. So it came out roughly around the same time it was announced. So it's like, no one really buys it like that, but we know.
We know. It was recorded. You can check the dates on the computer.
I believe you guys. Did you actually call, like, you called Mahershala Ali?
He did.
Yeah.
Cody did, yeah. I called the movie,
wow.
Because I think he's, that guy's an incredible actor, first of all. But I could also see, and he hasn't done much, like, I don't think he's really done much action-y stuff. But he could play, like, the cool, collected Daywalker Blade,
Well, he was, wasn't he Cottonmouth or in?
Yeah, he was. He was in the.
I was gonna say, how are they gonna like?
So I think
address it. Or you just don't address it?
Nah, they probably won't.
I think they won't address it, because one thing that they've kind of done is, and they're already talking about this with Daredevil, is that they're going to kind of rework his story a little bit to bring it into the MCU. So I think they'll just kind of, ignore it, because Cottonmouth is not, he's not in the, spoiler alert for that show that came out 4 years ago or whatever, but he's not in that show anymore, or he wasn't when that show ended. And so I think, they can bring him in and he'll do just fine. I mean, he's going to be great, I think. So
I feel it.
He was in Luke Cage, not Daredevil, right?
No, yeah, Luke Cage.
Sorry.
Yeah, he was one of the villains in Luke Cage. But it seems like Marvel is taking those Netflix shows, which were all fantastic. Iron Fist, some people kind of argue. I still had a good time watching it. But they're kind of taking...
I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. And I really wish we had seen where that show was going when they showed the after credits scene.
Oh,
Remember that? I would have loved it. Anyway. But I
feel it, though. You're going to get a part. I know it.
Yeah.
Down the line.
Yeah, I'm excited. One of the Toms. So we got a little time left. Let's talk a little Stranger Things.
Let's do it.
Now, we'll try not to, we'll dance around like who your character actually is in the show, so we don't ruin anything. But you're basically playing a young Robert Englund, who people may know as Freddy Krueger, most famous.
Yeah.
And you're playing him as a younger person in probably my favorite, at least. So I'm halfway through the show. I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, halfway through season 4, I should say.
I finished it, so we can. That's his fault. We can talk about it. We can ruin it.
Don't you dare ruin it, please. But
which episode? So are you on episode like 405?
I think I'm on
or something.
Yeah, I think I'm on. I think I got halfway through 5. So here's a funny story. So I was watching. Okay. I was dating this girl, and we were like, let's binge through all of Stranger Things. And so we got like through episode 4, 4.5, something like that. So I was probably halfway through 5. And then I had to, go home for the night or whatever. And then like she stopped calling me. So I was like, should I watch Stranger Things, or should I wait to see if she calls? She never called back. So now I'm on my own to watch Stranger Things. So I need to get back into it and watch it. But so it's her fault. It's her fault that I haven't finished it. But I did see the episode that you were in, at least the first one. I don't know if you come back later in it or not. But I will say that scene was probably my favorite of what I've seen in that show so far. Like, without giving too much away, kind of a creepy haunted house vibe, and just some terrible, terrible things happening to people. And it was awesome. What was it like working on that show?
Oh, it was great, man. And of course, they're very secretive.
Yes.
On that show. So I really didn't know what was going on when we were shooting it. Like, when I got the audition, it was dummy sides, which means like from something else.
Oh, okay.
That was the audition piece. And it was from the movie Signs.
Ooh.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And it was a scene. It was a scene where he is seeing his wife the last time before she dies, because she is in that car wreck and she's like just on the hood of the car.
Right.
So
when she's like, tell so and so to swing away. That's
yes.
That was a good movie.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the audition piece. And it said in the breakdown, this is how secretive they like to be.
Yeah.
They were looking for somebody who looked like Bill Maher. Right? So
okay.
like a young Bill Maher.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, so is Bill Maher gonna be in Stranger Things? What?
Could you imagine Bill Maher in Stranger Things? It would be so weird.
Nah, he would never.
But then I looked. Yeah, but then I looked at like a younger picture of him, and I sent it to my manager that I have now. I was like, do I look like a young Bill Maher? And he goes, no, not really. But then I found out when I was like in wardrobe, like they were, picking out what I was going to be wearing for the show.
Sure.
They told me that Robert Englund was going to be playing the older me.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh, okay. So a young Bill Maher is kind of similar to a young Robert Englund.
Interesting.
I don't think so, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want even the actor that's auditioning to know
right
what they're auditioning for.
That's crazy how secretive they are. And I mean, it makes sense because, again, without having a little bit of secrecy, we've all seen these leaks that come out where it totally spoils movies.
The
and
whole
stuff.
Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So how much better is it when you go in fresh and everything that happens is a surprise and excitement. So I get it for sure. But it is funny hearing how you have to kind of deal with that on set and during the audition process.
So at what point do they let you know, like, hey, it's for Stranger Things that...
Oh, well, I knew it was for the show.
Okay.
Things. They just didn't want to let on who
the character is.
Version of. Yeah. Because I think in the breakdown it said like young man back from the army,
right?
Dealing with a trauma, dealing with a loss in his family,
right?
And you saw episode 4 of 4, so you know kind of why it said that. So yeah, man, I had a feling that it was going to be a major part of one of the storylines, just by what we were shooting.
Sure.
And yeah, man, it was so much fun. I shot it early 2020, like March, like right before the pandemic. And then, so we shot for a couple days, then everything shut down.
Right.
And then we shot again in late 2020.
Okay.
And then we shot some more in early 2021. And then I also shot it one more time, or maybe a couple times, while I was shooting season 4 of Ozark. So 2021 was a busy year for me. I was blessed to have a good 2020.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's crazy that they had to bring you back so many times. But I guess narratively,
it was money. It was money I needed. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess it's kind of funny because narratively it kind of works too, because this doesn't give too much away of the plot, but you're basically, you move into this house and it takes place, it's a flashback of multiple time periods. So you go through like 5 or 6 different, costume changes and stuff. So, hey, if you look a year older in one, fits with the story,
He's like, man, what was happening in the house? Like,
Yeah.
I love how the Duffer Brothers, I mean, they're huge 80s fans.
Yeah, well, obviously. They love it, yeah.
So, and I'm sure they were super stoked when Robert Englund decided to be a part of the show.
Absolutely.
And of course, and this is like the darkest of the seasons, I think.
Absolutely, I think so.
And it's definitely an homage to Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. It's like a love letter to that stuff, and it's beautiful. And that doesn't give anything away to anybody.
Right,
but,
right. Yeah. I'd
yeah.
agree. It definitely has those Nightmare on Elm Street vibes. And I'll say this too. It's definitely the most engaged I've been in the show since the first season. And, they hit that right, combination of nostalgia where it feels like something familiar, but it's also something new. And that's a hard thing to do. It's not easy to come up with something that feels fun and familiar, but also surprises us and keeps us guessing. So it's a good show.
I also really love that they did the satanic panic and stuff. Like,
yeah,
that was pretty cool. Like,
oh yeah, they did.
Fun story. So on this show, we actually had Luke Gygax, who is the son of Gary Gygax, who was the creator of Dungeons and Dragons. And when we had him on, he talked about kind of like being at home with his dad when the satanic panic was happening, and everyone was saying like, hey, he's, this game convinces kids to worship the devil. And his dad's just like, I don't understand. Yeah. It's just a game where you pretend to be an elf. Like
I've actually watched documentaries about him. He's like such a sweet guy. Like he's clearly not. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, he's like this nerdy dude with a ponytail who just loved playing fantasy games, and he was caught in the middle of the satanic panic. But
have you played a game of D&D before?
I have never played D&D.
Oh
yeah, it looks like fun. I mean, so you have one person who is the key master,
the dungeon master.
Dungeon master. But
you're thinking Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
the dungeon master.
The dungeon master.
And he's not involved in the game, right? He is like the.
It's kind of like the
god.
He's kind of like the narrator, essentially. So,
right.
So in our games that we play, I'm generally the dungeon master, and you would be kind of the one setting up the scene. Like, okay, you walk into a tavern. It's it's a busy night. All the tables except for one are filled, and the manager of the pub comes over and he says, and then you actually narrate all the non-playable characters. So you'd be like, what can I get for you lads? And you have to kind of play along with the players.
You would love it because you love video games and an actor.
Yeah.
So it's like you would enjoy it because it's basically a video game you get to act in where you can try to do whatever you want, but the dice is going to decide, and the dungeon master will decide whether you succeed or not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely. I think, we've seen other actors who do obviously the critical role, which they're all voice actors, get really into it. But Joe Manganiello has his group of players too. But it's a fun game, and it's really cool because you can do it for as short or as long as you want. Like the kids in Stranger Things are playing this long campaign with their same characters every week, night after night. But you can also play like a what they call a one shot, which is just like, hey, let's sit down for 3 hours and we're doing one little dungeon or one little adventure and then it's over. And those can be really fun too. But
you're welcome at our table anytime. You can join us.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
You can join the game.
So do you have to? So I'm guessing the dungeon master.
Mm-hmm.
They come up with the story like a number of days in advance. Like they create this.
Yeah.
You can't do it on the fly, right?
Well, I do with my niece every other night.
Yeah.
I never have anything planned.
Yeah.
I'm just like I just start and I just do a lot of improv, a whole lot of like, yes and is what I use.
Wow.
But I'd say more traditionally, either the dungeon master will create this world and a general plot outline, and then, you can never really tell what your players are going to do. So you may set it up where like you're thinking they're going to see the shady guy at the bar and they're going to want to like spy on him, and they're going to see him passing off a note to someone else. And that's kind of the plot line you expect. But then they're like, let's get out of this bar. This bar is lame. And they go to a different part of town and you have to kind of adapt your story to suit that needs. But there are also like pre-made printed adventures from the company that creates it, Wizards of the Coast.
Oh, okay.
So you can have, it's like a big book and it has like setting notes and like plot lines and characters. And, those can be a lot easier too. But I will say there's challenges in that too, because you have to stick to the plot that's in this book. And, you know, again, if the players go off too crazily, you have to figure out how to get back to where the book wants you to be. So,
but not only that, I mean, like for when we gave him, like, not on purpose, but like we gave him a rough go. Because like in one game session, we just went to an island where we weren't supposed to stop at,
right,
see who was there, and he just made up a fisherman at the moment, and we just spent a whole game talking to this fisherman,
talking to this guy that I just made up on the spot. I forget what was his name. It was something Seaman or something. Like Clarence Seaman, the fisherman.
And we just ended up buying fish, and we were like, this guy is so interesting.
Yeah. And they weren't even supposed to go there, but you just have to kind of roll with it for a while.
In fact, it was so good that at the end of the game, we're surprised that this character was written in the book. He's like, I just made him up on the spot. He was
not in the book.
And we're like, oh my God, like there was so much, because we were just grilling him, asking him questions, and on the spot, he was just coming up with stuff.
Yep. That's what it's like to be a dungeon master.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, you have to play it sometime. But, you know, it's a fun thing to do, and you know, as long as you can find someone who's a dungeon master, you know, they'll kind of walk you through it, and it may seem daunting, but you know, it's just like auditioning for, you know, a role. You know, you just have to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the character.
Yeah, so if you want to audition for one of the playable characters for Cody, we'll see, you know, if you make the cut, you know.
Yeah. We'll talk to Rusty, and we'll see if we can get you in. So we got a couple minutes left. Is there any fun upcoming projects that you have that you can tell us about? I know sometimes you can't talk about stuff, but anything you're excited for going forward?
I've got some stuff in the mix. I've got a show called Florida Man that'll be out later this year, probably. I would say.
Nice.
Late this year. There's no date yet, but
sure.
Yeah.
Can you say what network or streaming service that we might be able to see that on? It's if you can, that's okay.
It's going to be on Netflix.
Nice.
Yeah.
Comedy, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, with a name like Florida Man.
A dark comedy. I would say it has some comedy in it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll look forward to that. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us and kind of telling us your story. It was absolute blast learning about like kind of where you come from and what it's like working with some of these awesome actors on these awesome shows. Is there anything you want to plug out there? Like, do you want people to follow you on Twitter? Watch which show do you want them to watch? You know, plug whatever you want to plug, because we want people to get to know you just like we have.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you know, if I don't bore people, if they want to check, you know, look at me on Twitter, it's you know, Kevin_L_Johnson, and then on Instagram, Kevin L. Johnson was taken.
Oh.
So I had to put the Kevin L. Johnson.
There you go.
To be kind of like a diva, but it was the only thing that was available.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Let the other Kevin L. Johnson know that you are the Kevin L. Johnson.
So yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, there you go.
Awesome. And of course, watch Ozark. If you haven't seen that show, it's awesome. I will say it stresses me out watching it. So I have to watch it in little chunks because it's kind of like Breaking Bad was like that too. Where you're just like, oh my God, these people are making such bad decisions. Let's just.
Oh, so you haven't finished it yet?
I haven't finished it yet. No, I started. Oh, okay. I started watching it again after a long hiatus because Christian said there was a chance you'd come on the show. So I'm like, okay, let me get back into it. You know, I've relaxed enough, but I need to catch up on that. I'm like, I think I just finished season 2. And I watched like 1 or 2 episodes of season 3, I think.
So unprofessional. Our guest is here. 2 of the shows he's on, you haven't finished.
I know. There's just so much content, guys. I've been trying to keep up. There's Obi-Wan. There's Miss Marvel. Stranger Things.
Oh, Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
I just watched the new episode of Miss Marvel.
Yeah. Watched it this morning.
I really like Miss Marvel so far. And they left on kind of a cliffhanger on this last one, so. definitely expect a full episode on Miss Marvel once the show's over. So.
Stranger Things we can forgive. Me and Kevin will forgive you because there was the girl.
Is getting my heart broken not enough of a penance? Yeah.
Hey,
you are forgiven, sir.
Kevin, maybe since you're here and maybe she's listening, man, like maybe you can say a little something to get her to
No, please don't do that. Brought her up enough on this show. But Kevin, thank you so much for spending time. I know you're a busy guy, especially with all these shows and whatnot. You were absolute delight to talk to. So thanks for spending the time with us, man.
You too, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys, and make sure you like and subscribe to the videos. Follow us on all the social medias and subscribe to the podcast on any podcast platform. Christian, it's been a pleasure as always.
See.
Kevin, thanks again for taking the time. And to all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you and good night.